Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of Canara Engineering College. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing regarding the core extension, which is the very last part of module 1. So basically in the previous modules, we have discussed a lot regarding the architecture of ARM. We have checked regarding the various exception, interrupts and vector tables. We have studied regarding the various pipelining characteristics and the way in which the pipeline is executed. We have seen the way in which the instructions are going to be executed. We have seen the various states and instruction set. We have checked the CPSR and the various fields of the CPSR. So almost all the topics with respect to the internal architecture of ARM processor has been already been covered up. So the very last topic what we need to learn in today's video lecture is all about core extensions. So basically what do you mean by this core extensions? So core extensions are the standard hardware components placed next to the ARM core. So why do we place them actually? So let's say that you have a processor. So once you have the processor, let's say that you have a processor here. So let's say your processor is not able to do a particular functionality. So when the processor is not able to do a particular functionality, what you are going to do is you are going to place an extra processor very close to the main processor with the functionality what that is required. So the way in which the core of the processor gets extended in order to do a particular function or in order to improvise the functionality of the processor is called as core extensions. So that is what he has been explaining here. Core extensions are the standard hardware components placed next to the ARM core. So what is this extended cores going to do? They actually improve the performance, manage resources and provide extra functionality. So the basic idea behind extending the core is to provide extra functionality to the existing core or existing processor. They are designed to provide flexibility in handling particular application. So what it means is, suppose if your main processor is not able to do a particular task, then the task what is to be performed as an additional function will be done by the extra processors that are added or that are placed very close to the main core. So basically when we speak about the core extensions, there are three types of various core extensions available. So there are three different hardware components which can be kept near the main processor in order to improve the functionalities. The first one is called as cache and tightly coupled memory. The second one is memory management and the last one is the coprocessor interface. So these are the three basic hardware extensions that can be done in the ARM core or in the ARM processor in order to improvise the functionality. Now let us check this hardware extensions one by one. So going to the very first one, that is core and tightly coupled memory. So basically it is about, cache tightly coupled memory. So basically we have studied what is cache. Cache is a small memory which is which is placed in between the main memory and the core. So if you say you have processor here and if you have main memory here where your instructions and data is getting stored, so you can place a very small memory which is called as a cache memory, which is placed very close to the main memory. So this small memory is called as cache memory. Basically the characteristic of this cache memory is to be very fast. So what does it do? It will be allowing more efficient fetch from the memory types. So normally there will be instructions written here. The instruction fetching will happen in the processor. This cache or cache tightly coupled memory will be helping in fetching or making the fetches more efficient. With the cache, the processor core can run for the majority of the time without having to wait for the data from slow external memory. So in case if there is no cache memory that is placed here, probably the fetching process might take a little bit of time, or there will be the fetching process will happen a bit slower. The processor has to wait. If a cache memory is placed here, this cache memory will actually be reducing the weight for the data from the slow external memory. So that is why we are going to place a small external or small cache memory between the main memory and the processor, just to speed up the fetching of the instructions or data from the main memory. Most ARM based embedded systems use a single level of cache internal to the processor. It is not most, almost all the ARM processors will be using a single level of cache between the main memory and processor. There are processors which will be using multiple levels. Multiple level means you will be having processor here, you will be having multiple levels of cache placed between the main memory and the processor. So we call the cache memory very close to the processor as level 1, next will be level 2, next will be level 3, next will be level 4. So basically the functionality of this cache memory is, is to reduce the fetching time that happens between the fetching of the instruction and data between the processor and the main memory. So basically if I speak about ARM processor has got two forms of cache. One of the cache will be following the von Neumann architecture and other one will be following the Harvard style architecture. So we are very familiar about this von Neumann and Harvard style architecture. Von Neumann style architecture uses a single bus and the single bus will be used to carry the instruction and data. Harvard buses will be using individual buses to carry the data and instructions separately. So if you want to check out regarding the von Neumann style core cache tightly coupled memory, so it is given here. So you can see there is a ARM core here and there is a cache here. The cache memory has been placed here. After that you can see a logic and controller unit here, and the type of bus what we are going to use is all about advanced microcontroller bus architecture, which we are going to study in the upcoming classes. So you have the main memory here, the instructions and data are stored in the main memory. This instruction has to be going to the ARM core. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place an extra memory in between the main memory and the ARM core, so that the fetching of the instructions or data from the main memory will happen a bit faster, so that your ARM core do not have to wait. In this particular architecture style, you can see there are single buses which are existing between the ARM core or the logical controller, or between the buses or between the main memory, which means the data and instructions are carried in the same buses. Coming to the Harvard style architecture core, here the cache whatever we are going to use as well as the buses what we are going to use are separate. What I mean to say is there will be a separate memory for the cache memory for the instructions, and there will be separate cache memory for the data. Very similarly, there will be separate bus for the instructions and there will be separate bus for the data from the memory. So if you say there is a memory here, there will be separate buses which will be carrying the instructions and the data from the main memory to the processor via individual buses. Also the cache memories whatever we are going to place will also be separate. This is regarding the Harvard architecture style of my core extension, in which I am going to implement the cache memories. But basically if I speak, I know cache memory is going to provide an overall increase in performance, but at the expense of predictable execution. So what do you mean to say is, suppose you say that, sir, I have one instruction and this instruction will get executed in one machine cycle, is what you are predicting. But in case if you place a cache memory between the main memory and processor, then this prediction might fail. In real-time systems, the code execution predictions might fail if there is a cache memory. That is, but the real-time systems require the code execution to be deterministic. The time taken for loading and storing instructions of the data must be predictable. This is what I expect in the real-time system. But if a cache memory is placed between the main memory and the processor, or between the ARM core, normally this becomes unpredictable. You cannot predict it. You cannot say that it is going to get executed in one single machine cycle. Most of the times it might get executed, but there are chances that it might become unpredictable. This is one of the disadvantage of using a cache memory between the main memory and the processor. Do we not have any solution for this particular problem? Yes, we do have a solution for this particular problem. So instead of using a cache memory between the main memory and the processor, we use a memory which is called as tightly coupled memory, which is called as TCM. Sir, what is this TCM? TCM is basically SRAM. We have studied there are different kinds of memories that will be used in the processor, out of which one is SRAM. So instead of using cache memory, we are going to use static random access memory, which is comparatively cheaper when compared to the cache memory, which is placed close to the core and guarantees the clock cycles required to fetch instructions or data, which means here it is predictable. If you use tightly coupled memory, you can predict the time taken to fetch the instructions or data from the main memory in order to give to the processor. TCM appears as memory in the address map and can be accessed as fast memory, which means that the address of the memory location of this TCM will be present in the address map. So you can directly go to this address map and you can get the address of the tightly coupled memory and you can find out where the instruction is placed in the TCM. And once the data has been obtained or instruction has been obtained, that can be given to the processor for the further processing. So this is one of the ways in which you can speed up the processor, or this is one of the way in which you can actually increase the efficiency of the processor. That is the first method. Speaking about the second method, see here it has been shown. The first method details has been shown here. You can see here there is ARM core, there is logic and control unit. Instead of using cache memories here, I am using TCMs, data TCM and instruction TCM, data cache and instruction cache. So basically what I do is, in order to improve the performance, I use cache memory as well as tightly coupled memory. So both can be collaborated together in order to make the efficiency still more or still better. So you can see the main memory, in between the main memory and the processor, you can see tightly coupled memory or a static RAM along with the cache memory. So this is how we are going to improve the performance in one of the ways. Speaking about further memory management. So basically when I speak about memory management, you know that whenever you have an embedded system, your embedded system will be having multiple memory devices, and it is usually necessary to have a method or to help organize these devices to protect the system from application trying to make inappropriate access to the hardware, which means that you have a memory in your embedded system and the data will be stored in the memory, but there will be some hardware devices which will be of rogue applications or which will be of unknown applications which will be trying to access the data from this particular memory locations. So what we need to do is, we need to have a methodology, or we need to have a method in the embedded system which will be protecting the data that is stored in the main memory. So this will be achieved with the help of something called as memory management hardware. So I said core extensions. So we need to be having a hardware device which will be protecting the memory also. We already had a hardware which will be fastening the process or fastening the fetching process. That is, we had an extra memory. Now this memory, whatever is present out of the processor, might be subjected for the invasion by unknown hardware devices. So I need to protect this data, right? So in order to protect this data, I'll be having some hardware devices attached to this, and that is called as memory management hardware. Basically, whenever I speak about the hardware component, there are three types of memory management hardware components that can be attached to the main memory. One is called as no extensions, providing no protection. Next one is called as memory protection unit, providing limited protection. Third one is memory management unit, providing full protection. So basically you can have three types of hardware core extensions in order to protect the memory depending on your data. If the data is very much confidential, then you can go for memory management unit providing full protection. If the data is not that important, or if that is kind of essential, then you can go for memory protection unit. If the data is not at all unit, and if you want any devices to access the things, then you can go for the no extensions, providing no protection. So basically, if you speak about the very first one, non-protected memory is fixed and provides very little flexibility. It is normally used for small, simple embedded systems that requires no protection from rogue applications. As I said you, the data is not at all important, you need not worry about that. Then you call it as non-protected memory. You actually do not attach any I mean hardware devices here. It has with no hardware devices where the memory is not at all protected. Next one is called as memory protection unit. Memory protection units employs a simple system that uses a limited number of memory regions. These regions are controlled with a special set of coprocessor registers, and each region is defined with a specific access permission. So basically, if you say this is your memory, you will have some registers here, some coprocessor registers here. The address at which the data is located will be present in this registers, will be present in the special coprocessor registers, and if you want to access this memory location, then you need to get some kind of data or some kind of code that is stored in this particular register, something like a code, something like a protected code which is stored in the coprocessor register so that you can access the data present here. This type of memory management is used for systems that require memory protection but don't have complex memory map, which means that your data is essential but not that important. In that case, you will be having a code which will be stored in some part of the memory. You need to go to that part of the memory, get the code, and later you will be having the access to that particular memory. The last one is called as memory management unit, which is actually one of the most comprehensive memory management hardware available on the ARM, which is one of the best memory management hardware which is available in the ARM. What does this memory management uses? This uses a set of translation tables to provide fine-grained control over the memory. I told you, right, something called as vector interrupt table. So as soon as the vector appears, your vector interrupt will contain the address. So using that address, it will go to the vector interrupt table. It will find you the address of the subprogram. So subprogram will get executed, and later my control will go back to the main program. Very similarly, MMU uses a translation table in order to provide a very fine-grained control over the memory. These tables are stored in the main memory to provide a virtual to physical address map as well as access permissions. MMUs are designed for more sophisticated platform operating system than that supports multitasking. See here, you have a memory management unit. You have memory management unit. This is the process. This is your virtual memory. So this is your physical memory. So basically what happens is, there is a translation table. This contains address of this particular, uh, I mean, this contains the translation table which will be giving you the control to the memory. Once it gives the control to the memory, you can go to that particular process and you can gain access, which means that it is actually more complicated than the memory protection unit. So basically, in order to protect the memory, I can use two things. One is non-protected, one is memory protection unit, other one is memory management unit. In the memory management unit is one of the most comprehensive and most complicated methods of protecting the memory from the invasion of the rogue applications. Finally, speaking about the very last core extension, what is done in case of your ARM processors, about coprocessors. Coprocessors, as the name says, you will be having a main processor here, and this main processor is not able to do a particular functionality. You are going to add a small processor attached or very close to this particular main processor. The main processor, what is attached to this particular or coprocessor or a small processor which is attached to the main processor, in order to do a particular functionality, you can call this particular processor as a coprocessors. So it is given here. Coprocessors can be attached to the ARM processor. See here, you have a main processor and you can see a coprocessor what is attached. This is actually your main one and this is your coprocessor. I have attached the coprocessor because this one couldn't be doing some functionalities. That is why a coprocessor has been attached to the main processor. A coprocessor extends the processing feature of the core by extending the instruction set or by providing configuration registers. Whatever work this couldn't do, that will be done by this particular coprocessor. More than one processor can be added to the ARM core via the coprocessor interface. Question is, sir, can I add only one coprocessor or do I need to add, or can I add something more? Yes, you can add any number of coprocessors depending on your functionality and depending on the capacity of the main processor. You can add it. You have one processor which cannot do digital signal processing, then you can add a digital signal processor. You need one more processor which will be doing arithmetic and logical function very fast, then you can add that also. So any number of coprocessors can be added to the main processor.
The coprocessor, how are you going to access it? The coprocessor can be accessed to a group of dedicated ARM instructions that provide load store interface. Very important. So this can be how are you going to actually give permission to the coprocessor to work? So that happens via a set of instructions that are stored, or set of ARM instructions that provide a load store type interface. For example, if I speak about coprocessor 15, the ARM processor uses coprocessor 15 registers to control the cache, TCM, and the memory management. So as I said you want to control the core extensions and the main processor is not able to do it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a processor which is called as coprocessor 15. Through that processor, I'm going to do all the extra functionalities. Not only that, the coprocessors can also extend the instruction set by providing a specialized group of new instructions. One more question what arises to my mind. Sir, I have a main processor and I know the instructions of this main processor. Sir, I am adding a coprocessor. What about the instructions to this particular coprocessor? Whenever you are adding a coprocessor to the main processor, this coprocessor will have its own instruction sets which has to be known by the programmer. It will be having a specialized set of instructions that can be added to the standard ARM instruction set to process vector floating point operation. Vector floating point operations means some extra operations what actually is to be done. These instructions are processed in the decode stage of the ARM pipeline. If the decode stage is a processor instruction, then it offers relevant coprocessor. If it is not recognized, then it will go to the undefined mode. So whenever you are adding a coprocessor to the main processor, you need to make sure that it is compatible with the main processor. Also, you need to make sure that the coprocessor instructions will be known by you people and they are added to the standard ARM instruction set. And when you're writing those instruction set, if the instruction set is actually recognized by the ARM processor, then the instruction execution will happen. Suppose the instructions are, if they are not recognizable by the ARM processor, then normally your processor will be getting into an undefined stage, what we have already studied. We have studied some different modes, right? Privileged and unprivileged mode. So normally in the unprivileged mode, it will be entering into a undefined mode. So this is regarding the very first module. So the videos with respect to the first module has already been uploaded in the YouTube. So you can refer them. In case if you have got any doubts, my email ID has been given there. So you can contact me via the mails. I'll be responding to your mail IDs. Thank you.